I'm writing this book about simplicity, about how people simplify their businesses at the moment. And I must say it's the most difficult book that I have ever written, because I'm trying to describe how to do something which is actually quite hard to do, which is to make life easier for the customers, either because you have a dramatic reduction in price or because you make the thing easy to use, like an iPad, for example. I remember you telling me that your 3-year-old daughter can actually, with a little bit of help, play with the iPad, and that is fantastic. But can you imagine the engineering and the ingenuity which had to go into removing all the buttons and making the touch screen work and all those sort of things which make an iPad or an iPod actually, work so fantastically so fantastically well, and it's completely intuitive, but it's very hard to do that. Now, the point that I was trying to make was that actually, if you're telling other people to do things, you can actually think, well, actually, yeah, we really need to go there and there and there and there, and then you divide it up into tasks and you give it to the people to do. Whereas if you're actually doing it yourself, certainly if you're anything like me, you say, well, I don't really know how to do that, so I won't do that. But if you've got someone else to do it, then you can actually design the task and tell them. And again, it's completely different. So I think you need more sort of, it's very fashionable now to talk about collapsing layers in an organisation, but actually I do think you need different levels of expertise and so on.
So what you're saying is that if you have difficulty with the details, this is actually an advantage, not a disadvantage, because it requires you to collapse and simplify the process, and you can write the specification for how the end result is supposed to be in demand. That's what you get, and then the geniuses who understand all the details will.
Yeah, the geniuses who are really the sort of hard-working stiffs that you were talking about earlier. Yeah, 2 words: Bill Bain. 2 words: Bill Bain. Now, Bill Bain, I think, was the most brilliant strategist in the world, and this was a man who had never been to business school, who didn't understand the economics of strategy. The point was, because he wasn't interested in the nuts and bolts of the business, he was able to completely redesign the way that he did the business. And the way he did the business was by saying, there's a personal contract between the head of the company, and we will only work for a group chief executive. This is a tiny, tiny little company which sort of had the presumption, the chutzpah, to actually say, well, actually, we're not going to work for the head of this division. We're not going to work for the head of Europe. We're not going to work for the head of manufacturing. We're only going to work for the head of the whole shooting match, the president, chief executive, whatever.